Hare Krishna.
Hare
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Nityananda Puri Vaishnava ki, Sad Goswami Prabhu ki, Amacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavan ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go, Shama Kun Radha Kun, Giri Govardhan ki, Pratipumi Vrindavan Dham ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Dham ki, Appearance Day of Sri Vamana Deva ki, Jai Go Prema, all glories to thee, all glories to thee, all glories to thee, all glories to Sri Guru, Gauranga, all glories to Sri Guru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today is the Dwadasi of the bright half of the month of Bhadra. And because the moon is in the nakshatra Shravan, this is known as Shravan Dwadasi. And on this Shravan Dwadasi was the appearance of Lord Vamana Deva. So instead of talking about the verse today, we'll go to the 8th canto and discuss about Lord Vamana Deva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Jnanatamindasya Galanjana Swakaya Chaksurumilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Yogi Samsatatam Nena Bhukare Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Jati Svapadantikam. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpa So this is a very special day, the Vamana Dwadasi, the day that Lord Vamana appeared. So we'll discuss about his incarnation. First, we'd like to point out something very interesting. Because one time, Prabhupada asked us, what is the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita? And everybody says, Sarvadharam, no. Manmana Bhagavan Bhagavad. Tadvidi Pranipati, no. What do you think is the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita?
What was in specific?
Janma karma chame divyam evam yogeti tattva tattva deham punar janma naiti mameti sojana. Here Krishna said, Janma karma chame divyam. Janma we know, we just celebrated Janmashtami. Janma means birth, and karma means activities. But Krishna's birth and activities are not ordinary. It's like we were arguing with one fellow who was trying to understand why we worship Krishna. His birth and activities are not normal, ordinary. Divyam, almost like English, we say divine. Krishna's birth and activities are all transcendental. Just like Prabhupada said one time, Krishna has Rasa Lila, and you all have Rascal Lila. So Krishna's birth and activity, Janma Karma Jame Divyam, Evam Yo Veti Tattva. We know this word Veda comes from this root vit, which sometimes becomes Veti. So anyone who knows this Tattva, means truth, anyone who understands this in truth, you simply understand that Krishna's birth and activities are transcendental. Even yoviti tattva, tyaktva, just like we know the word, this noun tyag, but the verb is tyakt, tyakt. After tyakta deham, most of you know this word by now. Deham means body. Tyakta, after leaving this body, punarjanmana, then we don't take another birth. What happens? If we don't take another birth, then what will happen? We're enjoying so nicely in this mature body. We don't take another birth. Mahameti Sorjuna, Krishna, don't worry, you will come to me. You will get a divine body like mine, and we will enjoy together in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada said the most important verse, you just understand this thing, that Krishna's activities and birth are transcendental, then on leaving this body, he will go back to home. Now I was trying to remember anywhere in Braj connected with Vamana Deva, but I couldn't think of anything. And then finally I remembered just now when I was seeing the beautiful face of Radha Londonisvara, that in Kamyavan, just near Kameshwar Mahadev, there's a little tiny temple, broken down place called Panchapanda. And there they used to have all the 5 Pandavas and Draupadi and Kunti. Some of the deities have been stolen over the years. But in front of the temple they have this Shiva Mandir, just on the corner. Very interesting because it has 4 Shiva lingas. One very opulent one, that's for Satyayu. A little bit smaller and less opulent, that's for Tretayu. Even less smaller and less opulent, that's for Dwaparayu. And then one very plain one for Kaliju. But on the wall behind these 4 deities, there's this beautiful murti of Vamana Deva. The nice little brahmachari belly, holding his umbrella. Very sweet, very cute. That's the only connection I can find of Vamana Deva and Raj. Anyway, somehow Bali Maharaj was very upset because the Devas were always defeating him. So he went to his spiritual master Shukracharya and he told him, explained to him a very special yoga that he would become very powerful and that she could charity to the Brahmins, that he would become very powerful. So by that yajna he attacked the Indra. And Indra saw the effulgence and the power of Bali Maharaj as he was approaching. And he went to Brihaspati, and Brihaspati said, nothing you can do. He's got he's performed some special yoga. The time is not in your favor. You better flee from this place and hide yourself. So all the demigods fled from heaven and became incognito. And Bali Maharaj took over heaven. And he began to rule all the 3 worlds. He was very, very happy. Meanwhile, Kasyapa Rishi, he was deep in meditation. And when his meditation broke, he saw that the ashram was very unkempt. He saw that his wife Aditi was very morose. So he inquired from her, what was the reason for all this? And she explained that she was bereft of the association of all her children because Bali Maharaj had chased all the demigods out of heaven. So she was lamenting, like any mother would do. She was lamenting that she was bereft of this association of her children. So Kasyapa Muni began to explain to her that these are just material attachment, children and husband and wife and wealth and all these things are temporary. You shouldn't be so disturbed. They come and go just like heat and cold. But she didn't want to listen to this. Because like a good mother, she was very attached to her children. She wanted to get them back into heaven. So, seeing her determination, Kasyapa Rishi engaged her in the Payovrat ceremony. I don't know exactly what the Payo Vrata says. Payo always has something to do with milk. He saw she's very determined. She'll worship Lord Vishnu with great determination. Although that determination was meant just to get the association of her children, still he managed to dovetail it in Krishna's service. So she began to perform this Payavrat ceremony for 12 days, 12 consecutive days, very perfectly. And as a result, the Lord appeared before her with conch shell, disc, glove, and lotus flower, beautiful body, very effulgent body, blackish in color, just like a monsoon cloud, and beautiful lotus petal eyes, golden helmet, and all these things. And she bowed before Lord Vamana Deva and offered so many beautiful prayers. And Lord Vamana Deva told her, "You don't worry. I will become your son, and I will figure some way to get your children back to heaven." So she was pacified. So one day, Kasyapa Rishi, in his meditation, he saw the Lord had entered into his body. So he passed that same Lord into the body of his wife, and as due course of time, on this Vamana Deva day, she gave birth to this beautiful child. He also again appeared with 4 arms and beautiful doll decorations, and disc club and lotus flower, and beautiful lotus petal eyes, curly black hair. And all the demigods came and offered prayers, and everyone was very ecstatic. And then he transformed himself into a little dwarf brahmachari with nice golden complexion. You can see here, wearing his deerskin outfit. He had his Brahmin thread, a little straw belt around his waist, all the signs of a very beautiful brahmachari. And his umbrella, and his danda, his kamandalu. So all the demigods appeared. And Lord, I can't remember, it's a whole long description. Somebody gave him a beautiful Brahmin thread, the sun god gave him something, like the moon gave him the umbrella, somebody gave him his kamandalu, and they all offered so many beautiful prayers to the Lord. Everyone was joyful. Even Lord Brahma, seeing his effulgence being diminished in the presence of Lord Vamana Deva, he also appeared and made so many beautiful prayers to the Lord. So then Vamana Deva, he decided to go off and visit the yagya of Bali Maharaj. Because Bali Maharaj was performing a yagya on the bank of the Narmada. One side of Madhya Pradesh is a beautiful river called Narmada. I've been there. In a very special place, somehow related with Brigu, because all the Brahmins were related from Brigu Vams. They were performing all these sacrifices, and he was giving charity to the Brahmins, because his spiritual master Shukracharya says, as long as you give charity to the Brahmins and perform sacrifices for Vishnu, no one will be able to conquer you, and your opulence will increase. And of course he wanted more and more opulence. Once you get some, you want more and more and more. So suddenly, Lord Vamana Deva, appearing like the sun, walked into that yagya arena. And everyone was astounded. They thought maybe the sun god has appeared to visit the yagya of Bali Maharaj. Then everyone saw as a beautiful brahmachari boy carrying his little umbrella and his water pot kamandala. And even Bali Maharaj's effulgence was diminished. He was so amazed. And he came before Lord Vamana Deva and greeted him very nicely. He washed his feet. He sprinkled that water that Lord Shiva always keeps on his head. The water water that has washed the feet of Lord Vamana. And he sprinkled on everyone. And Lord Bali Maharaj received him very nicely. And he said, what is it that you want? Now I'm ruling over the 3 worlds. Whatever you want, I can give you. Even if you want a whole planetary system, I can give it to you. Whatever you desire, gold, silver, beautiful Brahmin wife, whatever you want, I can give you. And Vamana replied that unless one is satisfied with whatever he's easily gotten, he will never be satisfied in life. This instruction struck the heart of Bali. Because he realized he had everything, but still he was desiring more and more. He was never satisfied. He said, I just want 3 paces of land according to my measure. And Bali Maharaj said, Are, you're just a child. Your intelligence is not very good. I can give you a whole tract of land to rule. I can give you a whole state. I can give you anything. I'm ruling everything. I'm the most powerful. Whatever you want, I can give gold and silver, anything you want. Your intelligence is not yet mature. You're only asking for 3 steps of land. Again, Vamana repeated, that unless one is satisfied with what he's got, he will never be happy in this life. Again, this struck Bali Maharaj's heart. So by this time, Sukracharya had figured out, because this was an extraordinary brahmachari. Jai Sri Sri Londonisvara. But it was too late. Bali Maharaj said, all right, whatever you want, I will give you. Then Sukracharya said, no, this Vishnu has come. He's going to cheat you of everything. This is not an ordinary Brahmin boy. He's Vishnu himself. He said, but I have given my word. And then Sukracharya gave so many arguments that to save one's life, one can break his promise. There's no infamy in that. He gave so many examples. And Bali Maharaj said, no one before me has ever broken their word in my line of kings. Nobody has ever broken it. I cannot break it. He said, no, you don't know. This is Vishnu. But you told me to give everything, to always offer sacrifice to Vishnu. I said, you don't want to follow my instruction? I curse you. You will become bereft of all your opulence and you will live in hell. But not minding the words of his spiritual master. He offered water, and then he told Vamana, you take your whatever 3 steps of the land you want. Then suddenly Vamana began to expand and expand and expand. And everyone was shocked, and he began to cover the entire universe. It gives a whole big description here how under his feet were this, and his heart was that, and his waist was all the demigods, and all. He covered the entire sky, and just like that. And then he took another step, and that step covered the entire universe. It's not described in the 8th canto, but in the 5th canto it describes that his toe broke the covering of the universe. But 8th canto describes that the water that Bali Maharaj offered on the lotus feet of Vamana, that became the Ganga. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that in another place he gives another explanation. So the water of the Ganga is 3. The causal ocean water that touched Vamana's lotus feet, and the water that Bali Maharaj washed his feet, and this other water that I can't remember just now. There's several chapters I was just studying like anything. So it's transcendental combination of 3 different waters of this Ganga, which therefore gave it the ability to purify the entire 3 worlds. And one time, we were in Kumbh Mela, and because there's a very beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur, who's appearance day is coming in October, I think, 2nd of October, very soon. Not November, yes. So, the Gangara Parasha Hoire Pashtate Pavan. The actual word is Sparsha, but this is old poetic Bengali. It says Parasha. And Sparsha we heard in Bhagavad Gita. Sparsha, where do we hear? Sparsha means to touch. This poetic way of saying taking bath in Ganga, to touch Ganga, Ganga Parasha. Pashtate means after some time. Just like we go to Kumbh Mela, people do Kalpavas, 30 days. They stay there, and they in the cold month of Magh, they take bath in the cold waters of Ganga and Jamuna at the Sangam for 30 days. So slowly they become purified. Pashtate Prabhupada. Darshani Pavitro Eto Maragun. But he says about the Vaishnava, just by seeing a Vaishnava, Darshan Matra se, we become purified. Just by seeing a Vaishnava. So the sadhu asked me, why are we giving more importance to the Vaishnava than to Ganga? So I knew he must have very nice answers. I don't know. So he said, Ganga, she one time touched the foot of Lord Vishnu when he broke the universe, and then she ran away. One time she touched the lotus toe of Lord Vishnu, and she ran away. He said, but the Vaishnava, he's touching the lotus feet of the Lord again and again and always running toward the Lord. This actually in the very first canto, this verse is there, that the Ganga only purifies after some time, but the Vaishnava can purify immediately. So the Ganga was created when Lord Vamana Deva poked a hole in the universe. Then, with 2 feet, he had covered everything. So, seeing this, all the demons were very upset. They began, this cheater Lord Vishnu has come disguised in this brahmachari, he's trying to cheat our master. And they all began to attack the demigods. And all the demigods, headed by Lord Garuda, they immediately began to counterattack with great force. And at that time, Sukracharya says, time is not right. You better flee. Don't try to attack him now. The time is not your time. And then Garuda brought the ropes of Varuna and tied up Bali Maharaj, arrested him. And Bali Maharaj was very sad. And everyone was very sad. And Lord Vamana addressed him and said, you promised me 3 steps. With 2 steps I've covered everything. So what are you going to offer for your 3rd step? And Bali Maharaj began to offer so many prayers. He said, actually, he began to explain how opulence makes one puffed up. Lord is the only reason for our opulence, and forget everything. And nobody in my line has ever broken his word, so I'm not going to be the one to break my word. He said, actually, my Lord, there's one more place you can put your foot. You kindly place your foot on my head. So Bali Maharaj is the symbol of Atma Nivedan, offering everything to the Lord. And he explained in his prayers how kind the Lord was to relieve him of all this opulence, because it was just making a big false ego that was dragging him down. If we have opulence and we engage that opulence in the service of the Lord, that is perfect. But if most of the time we get opulence, we get puffed up, we don't care for anyone, and even we defy the authority of the Lord, but still no one can defy the Lord. So Bali Maharaj was very happy. And Bali Maharaj told that I don't fear going to hell, I don't fear your punishment, I don't fear anything, I only fear infamy. Because after this body is gone, all your opulence will stay, everything, the only thing that remains is your fame. So you please kindly place your foot on my head. So then Vamana Deva was very, very pleased. And all the demigods again appeared and began to shower so many flowers and so many, the tambourus began to play special drums. And, so much dhoom-dham was there, great noise was there. And all the demigods came and offered prayers to the Lord. And then the Lord told Bali Maharaj that now you will go to Sutala, which even the devas and demons both desire to live on this wonderful planet. You will go there. I will stay there with you with my disc. No one will be able to bother you, and you will live there for thousands of years, protected by me. So he took Bali Maharaj to that planet Sutala, and Lord is remaining there as his guard. Darwan is not a very high post, but Krishna accepted that post of the doorman, giving protection to Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj, that's right, Prahlad Maharaj also appeared, and he glorified his descendant, Prahlad Maharaj glorified his descendant, Bali Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj also gives this big speech about the same thing, that opulence and so many material possessions simply bewilder the conditioned soul, and he forgets the real purpose of life is to surrender everything at the lotus feet of the Lord. So then all the Indra and all the demigods, they again entered heaven, and then Aditi, she was very, very pleased. So on these wonderful appearance days, we get to remember the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. It actually is said that Bhagavatam means the beautiful story of the personality of God. But actually, there's the person Bhagavat, who's the one who lives his life in relation to Bhagavat. And we see that actually most of the Bhagavatam is about the devotees. Just like in 7th canto, we have Lord Nrsimhadev. But you see, there's chapter after chapter about Prahlad Maharaj. All at the end, Lord Nrsimhadev appears, does his surgery on Hiranyakashipu, and then Prahlad pacifies him. And most of it is about the devotees. Lord disappears and finishes everything off. This 10th canto is especially about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and Mathura and Dwarka. So maybe somebody has some questions or some comments they'd like to make.
You mentioned that Bali Maharaj represents Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything unto the Lord. Is this a consistent thing throughout Bhagavatam? Does each pastime represent one of the 9 processes? And if so,
not
what
necessarily.
examples?
The example of Sravanam is always Parikshit Maharaj. He heard 7 days very intensely from Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is the emblem of Kirtanam, because he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Lord Prahlad Maharaj, he was always remembering the Lord. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Bandanam, Akrura, he offered so many beautiful prayers to the Lord. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Bandanam. What's the next one? Archanam. Oh, that's Prithu Maharaj. Archanam. Sakyam, that's Arjun. Vandan, we said Kura. Archanam was Prithu Maharaj.
Dasyam.
Dasyam. Hanuman. So here you have a beautiful picture of Hanuman. So he's so Atmani Vedanam, that's our Bali Maharaj. And we were fortunate to meet Atmanavedan Swami here, your British Swami. Yes?
Thank you so much for your class. I also read that Vamana Deva gave all the blessing more to Bali Maharaj, that he was going to be the next Indra.
Yeah, oh that's right, that's also there. That after thousands and thousands of years of Sutala,
he's going to be the next.
yeah, he'll be back in heaven again. But this time as a devotee.
You were talking about he surrendered everything to the Lord at the end. So how can we increase our level of surrender?
How
How
can
can we increase our level of
we
surrender?
level of surrender?
Yes.
We just have to keep practicing, keep trying. The main thing is to keep trying. It's like when I was a little boy, my father subscribed to National Geographic. It's a very nice magazine. And I used to cut them all up for my school projects. It wasn't until I was much older that I realized how much painful it must have been for him that he saw that at least I was learning something. But I can remember I'm talking about, 60, 70 years ago, there was an article in one about the elephants in India. They used them in the train yards. Now I don't see them anymore, but this is 70 years or 60 years ago at least. So they would push the train cars, they would load the train cars, and so many things like that. So then, they say how they start is they get a baby elephant, they take a big stake and they drive it very deep into the ground. They put a chain on his wrist and he runs around and around and around and around, and he realizes that once they do this, there's nothing I can do. I have to stay in one place. So he eventually realized I can't get this out. Now he's a huge elephant. He's, what to speak of a little stake in the ground, he's taking whole logs and loading them on the train car. But they drive a little stake in the ground, they put this chain on his wrist, and he just stands there. Sometimes there's a fire, and then, out of fear, he just rips that stake out of the ground and runs. He could have done that at any time, but he stopped trying. He stopped trying. So all the time we're chanting, associating with devotees, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, taking prasadam, we're growing in spiritual life. So we just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Don't stop trying. No matter how hopeless. It may look hopeless. Just like the Brishvasi, they have a verse to give us a little hope. Sometimes on Braj Prikrama, we go to some place where there's not even a hand pump. Yesterday we were so surprised. Where was it? St. Paul's Cathedral. We saw hand pumps here in London. But sometimes we go on Braj Prikrama, there's not even a hand pump. There's a well. And all around the well, mouth of the well, there's stones. And in the stones, there's these little grooves are there. And it's not that somebody came with a hammer and a chisel and the Brishvasis, they have a nice little Brishvasa verse. Kara kara kabyase, jarmati hota sajan, rasari avada javate, shilpar pari nishan. That kara kara abhyas, just like Arjuna also asked, how do I control this mind? Abhyas, practice, by practice, by practice. And so even Jarmati, just like Jarbarat, he was dull fellow. So Jarmati, even somebody who's dull fellow, Sajan means very, very cultured. Just like in your British literature, you have one play called My Fair Lady. And she spoke English very horribly. The line is fine, rhymes mildly in the pine, Mike. But this guy took her and he practiced and practiced and practiced so she could say, the rain in Spain means rainy in the plain. Huh? So kara kara abhyase jarmati ho sudajan. And what is the proof? He said, Rasari avata javate shilpar pati nishan. That those gurus, nobody took a hammer and chisel on Rasari. Rasari means rope. Huh? Avata java, coming and going, coming and going. If I tell you to cut a stone with a rope, he says, hopeless. No way. But the proof is there. Nishan means mark. The mark is there. That rope going and coming and going, it's going in the water, it's becoming even softer, but coming and going, even that stone has been cut by the rope. So this gives us a little hope. We just keep Rasari Avataja. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Even this part will be cut.
Hare Krishna. Today is also Jeev Goswami appearance, if you can speak.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's right, I forgot. Jeev Goswami. There was a great Brahmin in Karnataka named Sarveswar Jagat Guru. And he was the king of that place, somehow. And he had two sons, Aniruddha and Harihar. And I can't remember, one of them drove out the other son, because they divided the kingdom, but the one guy wanted the whole kingdom. That's the nature of even your British history. You can see how so many intrigues and conspiracies and things. So, I believe it was Aniruddha. He went and settled in a place in Bengal called Naihati. And gradually his descendants came to a place in there's now Bangladesh called Jessore. Used to be Yasohara, which is another name for Mother Yasoda, but now it's called Jessore. In a very beautiful kingdom of Gaud. That's why we're called Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And one time we went on Jai Bhattacharya's safari. They call it safari, but it's a safari. And we went to that so beautiful place. And Ramakeli, we came to Ramakeli. We started finding in Ramakeli. Everything is very beautiful and green and so beautiful. We just imagine 500 years before what it was like. And there was a king, Nawab Hussain Shah. He wanted a tower to be built. So he asked because Bengal, if you've been there, it's very flat. So if you want to see if the enemy is coming, you need a big watchtower. So he asked his minister. So the minister knew that Sanatana Goswami was a very, very clever fellow. So he asked him to design this thing. So then he got it built. And Nawab Hussain Shah came there and he said, who built this? He said, I did. He said, you're not smart enough. The kings are always very clever, You're not smart enough. Who built this? I want this guy in my government. So he pointed to Sanatana Goswami. So Rupa and Sanatana, they had he made them an offer that they could refuse. Either you join my ministry or so that time, Bengal society was very, very conservative. So if you became somehow in touch with a Muslim, then you lost your Brahmanhood. So they were rejected. But they had to take this these duties. Rupa Goswami was the treasurer, and we saw that treasury house is still standing, and Sanatana Goswami became the prime minister. Anyway, there was a third brother, Anupam. Anupam's son was Jiva Goswami. They were all living there at Ramakeli. And eventually, Mahaprabhu came there on the excuse of going to Vrindavan. He went north, but Vrindavan is west from Bengal. He went north, so most acharyas and authorities claim that Mahaprabhu actually went to liberate Rupa and Sanatana and Jiva. And there's some people say that Jiva Goswami is a small boy. He saw Mahaprabhu. Rupa and Sanatana, they definitely they fell at the feet of Mahaprabhu from a distant place, and Mahaprabhu called them. And even though they were rejected from Brahmin society, Mahaprabhu embraced them and made them the chief whips of his Sankirtan movement. So some say Jiva Goswami at that time he got darshan, otherwise he was born in this great family. And Rupa and Sanatana, they went to, they were ordered by Mahaprabhu, you go to Vrindavan, so they left. And they told Jiva Goswami that you finish your schooling and everything, and then you come. So Jiva Goswami, he was very expert in every subject in school. And then finally, everybody in the village in Khetri, not Khetri, but Ramakeli was very sad. Jiva Goswami left. And he came to Banaras, and there he studied Sanskrit under Vidya Vachaspati, who was some relative of Sarvabhauma. I forgot to study about Jiva Goswami, so I can't remember. He's related somehow. Then he came to Vrindavan and met his uncles, Rupa and Sanatana. And they gave all their blessings to them. They saw that he was very learned. In fact, Sanatana Goswami, or rather Rupa Goswami asked him to help him with his editing work. So he was helping him with all the different books that Rupa Goswami had written. And one day he was writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And Ballabhacharya came. He must have been quite old at that time, elderly Vaishnava. And he saw Rupa writing this book. He said, "Let me see your book. What are you writing?" He gave it to him, and he began to read, and he read one verse that Bhukti Mukti Spriya Pisachati Vridaye Vartate. That the desire for Bhukti and Mukti is a witch that lives in the heart of haunts the heart of the aspirant. So Ballabhacharya said, "This is not proper. How can you call that Mukti is glorified throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, because we know real Mukti means devotional service. How can you call her a witch? This isn't proper." Then, Jiva Goswami is saying there's nobody who knows anything more than Rupa Goswami. Twice Mahaprabhu told, I met, once in Terkadam, he said, not Terkadam, where was it? In Puri. He said, I met this Rupa, and seeing him a fit personality, I've given him my entire transcendental potency. Another time, they were in Puri, and Ramananda Roy came there, was asking about his drama, Vidagdha Madhava and Lipta Madhava. And after hearing about it, he said, this is not a drama, this is a constant flow of nectar. Without having Lord's mercy, it's impossible to write these things. Mahaprabhu said, yes, I saw this Rupa I met this Rupa in Prayag, and seeing him as fit personality, I have given my entire transcendental potency to him. He says, so nobody who knows more than Rupa Goswami, how is this guy, criticizing? So then Ballabhacharya excused himself, he made some other points, and he went down to take his bath, and so Jiva Goswami, he says, Krishna Master didn't say anything, but anyway. He followed Ballabhacharya down to the ghat, and he said, that actually Rupa Goswami said bhukti, mukti, spriha. Spriha means the desire for bhukti and mukti is the witch, not bhukti and mukti. They're not the witch. The witch is the desire for these things. In this way, whatever point he had raised, he defeated them. And Ballacharya was so amazed, this young boy, he's quite elderly because he met Mahaprabhu, so he's quite elderly at this time. And he came back to Rupa and he said, hey, who's this young boy? And Rupa said, he's my nephew and disciple. And he said, he's so amazing. He smashed all my arguments. And then he went on his way. He said, whatever you've written is perfect, you just keep on going, it's all right. He gave his blessings. So then Jiva Goswami came, and Rupa said, Ballacharya was our senior Vaishnava. He was trying to help me. He was offering his assistance by his own will. You couldn't tolerate? You're not fit to stay in Vrindavan. You get out of Vrindavan. You haven't learned anything. So Jiva Goswami, he tried to leave Vrindavan, but he got to a place called Nandagat. This is where Nanda Maharaj got a big fright. The name of the village is Baigam. Bai means fear, As we know on Dwadasi, he took his bath too early, and the agents of Varuna arrested Nanda Maharaj. So he went to that place and he found an old crocodile hole. Because there used to be crocodiles in the Jamuna. Somebody on Facebook showed a picture of a crocodile getting out. Most of the time we don't see, don't worry. Now the crocodile of pollution is taking those types of stuff. So, and he would just get some atta, some wheat flour, and mix it with the water of Jamuna, and eat raw chapati balls like that. And he was just performing great penance and austerities. And Sada Goswami noticed that Jiva wasn't around, and he asked about it, and Rupa Goswami explained. Sada Goswami said, that's strange. But he saw that Rupa Goswami, without Jiva's editing, that things were going slow. So we know the Goswamis used to wander around Braj, so he was wandering around Braj one day. He came to some Brishvazi hut, little grass hut. He said, Hari Bol, Radhisham, Madhukari, Hari Bol, Roti Do. And the lady said, just a minute, And then he said, Hari Bol, Roti Do, with the impatient. The lady came out, said, I was serving my husband, my hands were dirty, I had to wash my hands, and you couldn't wait. You're not like our Baba. He doesn't beg anything from anyone. We give him some wheat flour, he mixes it with the Jamuna and eats that, and all day he's on the bank of the Jamuna. Hey Krishna, hey Radha, hey Rupa, hey Sanatana, hey Gauranga, hey Nitai. It's not Goswami. Well, nobody could perform penances like that except Jiva Goswami. Not possible. He said, where's your Baba? He's there on the bank of the Jamuna. He came there by eating such a diet. He'd become very weak. He couldn't even stand up. He just sort of rolled on his side and made his obeisances. And Sanatana Goswami picked him up and brought him back to Vrindavan. And he put him outside of Rupa Goswami's bhajan kutir. And he went inside and he said, what did you write about the Jiva in your nectar of devotion, your bhakti rasamrita? Jiva ko daya karo. That one should be merciful to the jivas. And said that you're not merciful to your own jiva? Then Rupa Goswami thought there must be something special here. He came outside, he saw Jiva Goswami in his pitiful condition, and he just embraced him with tears in his eyes, and nourished him and brought him back to health. And they finished editing all the books very, very sweetly. And anyway, Jiva Goswami, he's the reason we're not all sahajas. Because Rupa Goswami, he unleashed streams and streams, and Rupa Goswami unleashed streams and streams of nectar. But Jiva Goswami, by all his writings, he's made the protective wall so that nectar wouldn't fall into the gutter or some dirty place. He's written this satsandarbhas, and our Baladeva Vibhushan has a very beautiful pranam mantra for Jiva Goswami. Ishanka pankena kutarka pashana vivartakartena chaluptidivitim sudam bilakbakshudaya maheshram krishnam sajivam prabhu astranogati. That ye shanka pankena Sankhya pankena. In Sanskrit, of course, nowadays punk has a different meaning, but anyway, in Sanskrit, punk means mud. Just like Pankaj, you know the name Pankaj, and we have a friend. Pankaja, who's born from the mud. That's a lotus. So, the great shining glories of Krishna were trampled into the mud of the atheistic Sankhya philosophy. Ishanka pankena kutarka pasana. Tarka means argument. So all the munis, they're always engaged in useless argument. Kutarka. And this pasana means dust storm. That's just like a dust storm. Just like sometimes in Braj in May. Actually, it's April. It's just starting to get hot.